Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We are glad you're along for the ride. And Les, we're going to start off this week talking about another Cadillac, which is the Celestiq.
Yes, so I think, we'll call it that. We're not sure how to pronounce it, but Celestique sounds good to me.
Sure.
Uh,
They have a few of them like that. The Lyric, spelled with a Q
right.
on the end. What's interesting about this, though, is they're going to build it at their design center that was opened up,
Hmm.
GM's design center that was opened up in 1956, and they've used it as a design center since then. It was opened up by, at the time, President Eisenhower. He was there for the reveal of it.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting news. And then the new models and pricing just keeps on going. We've got the new model Palisade from Hyundai, very popular model. They have a new XRT version of that, rough and ready. That's the way these trucks are going
Yep.
these days.
That's it.
We're also going to talk about Subaru Ascent, which gets freshened.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we have pricing on the Kia Seltos, which is kind of I call it their all-wheel drive, small, compact version vehicle that typically you can't get in some of their other small vehicles. You can't get all-wheel drive, but this is the smallest one you can get all-wheel drive in. And, of course, it looks good because a lot of Kia stuff looks really good with the two-tone paint.
Yeah.
And
Now, of course, wouldn't you know, they unveil another all-wheel drive during the biggest heat wave the country's had in years, when
yeah,
people don't think about all-wheel drive.
no,
But it
no,
will get cold.
it will get cold eventually. And if you're in kind of the northeast area or northern areas, all-wheel drive is
Hmm.
important. You know,
It is.
I probably wouldn't buy a vehicle without it. And you can get sedans with it.
Yeah, more and more,
Yeah.
by the way.
So,
And speaking of different states, we're going to talk about what states are the most expensive and least expensive to own and drive a car.
yeah, it's an interesting new study. I used to think that Massachusetts had the most expensive car insurance, but that's not true anymore. I guess they had some reforms and changes and things. Um, I remember I had a cousin that was going to go to school there, and she was like, "I have to register my car there. Look at what they want for insurance." But that's
Well,
changed.
yeah, um, yeah. It's all demographics. It's actuarial tables, and
Things like that.
uh, you're caught
Stand
in a
by
group.
for in-depth discussion of actual aerial
That,
tables on
that's
cruising.
right. We'll give the mathematic formulas.
We're going to be right back with some actual news you might like to hear about it. So stay tuned.
Yep.
This is Cruise Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about
New and used cars.
industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin because you're on
Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
Hey,
And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub, and the other guy you're about to hear is none other than Les Jackson. Les,
that would be me.
that would be you, and we've got a great hour planned out for our listeners because we've got, information on a brand new Cadillac, a little bit of a teaser about the
Yep.
Celestiq, if we're saying that right.
The Celestiq, the little teaser picture we have looks pretty nice,
It's
but
a
we can't
Fender.
really describe it.
Yeah, it's going to be built in a place steeped in history, General Motors history. And we'll tease it with
Yep.
that. And then you've got a story about a couple of companies bringing out new models, and we got pricing on them.
Absolutely. 2023 models. Now, Hyundai prices out the new Palisade, including the XRT model. And Kia is telling us how much it'll cost to buy its all-new all-wheel drive Seltos CUV, which is their smallest all-wheel drive
offering.
Well, yes, and actually, I think this is a trend. I think they're just going to be putting all-wheel drive in everything.
Yep, I'm getting an all-wheel drive bicycle later, so we'll talk about
Excellent.
that. And
Excellent.
then here's something that you can use if you're thinking about moving to another state. A lot of people are. What states are the most expensive and least expensive to own and drive a car? Some of them you might find surprising.
I'll bet it's Hawaii.
It's very expensive to drive there from California, yes.
Extremely. And we're talking tech later. What do you think? Are pop-up headlights coming back? Well, kinda.
Yeah, kind of. Interesting reason why they disappeared, Les, and it was pedestrian safety in Europe, because you kind of get impinged on one if you got hit. And I'm going to have a review this hour of the BRZ, the Subaru BRZ. Very cool vehicle, very sporty vehicle, and a rear-wheel drive. This one had one of those manual things with the three pedal.
That thing in the middle that you push and pull. And,
yeah, you move it all around, and you go to town.
Well, then it's completely safe for being stolen.
That's true. It has the anti-theft device in it.
That's right.
It was a great little car. And, one of the things I liked was it had some cool treatment on the pedals. It has a boxer engine, believe it or not, and it says Toyota Subaru on that because they share the model. It's Toyota 86 and Subaru BRZ. So interesting combination of companies there. I'm sure we'll see plenty more of those as time goes on. Don't forget to check us out, though, at cruisecontrolradio.com. You can link over to all our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. I'm Fred Staab. He is Les Jackson. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
Hey, welcome back to Cruise Control. It's us. I'm Les. He's Fred over there. And we teased a little bit about Cadillac's newest, soon to be newest offering called the Celestiq.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cool name. It's going to be ultra luxury, translation, ultra expensive. But
true.
That's okay. Lots of its competitors are. It's going to be a special design, which I'm sure will be striking.
Yeah.
Something you go, oh, wow, what's that? And it's being built at GM's historic design center, technical center, which was opened in 1956.
Yeah.
By, as you said, Dwight Eisenhower when he was president. He, I guess, cut the ribbon.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff has been designed there.
Yeah, it sure has. And they're spending $81 million to start assembling the Celestiq there to get it going. And they've already started to work on this. Of course, it will be on the Ultium platform, which is GM's platform that will base all of their cars in the future. But it is expected to have, the Celestiq is expected to have a 4-quadrant suspended particle device smart glass roof where each occupant of the vehicle can set their own level of roof transparency. Now, remember, you were reviewing the Mach-E last week, and one of your
big panoramic roof,
but it had no cover, no shade.
No, and it's not smart glass, so you couldn't push a button and make it opaque.
Right.
It was just low E glass, which put your hand close to it. It was really hot.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting here, I had a vehicle, I believe it was a Lexus, that had that already in the roof panel. It didn't have 4 quadrants.
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
did have a button you push, and it went from clear to opaque. Opaque is the right word for it, right? Where you can see some light, but it's diffused.
Yeah, opaque.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, in a push of a button. So while they are touting this, I've seen it already. And I think it's a great idea. I also think it's a great idea for home where you don't have to have any curtains. You
Well,
know
they make shower glasses in hotels as well.
that do that.
But where you walk in and it makes it opaque so no one can see in.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
also on the Celestiq, you will have what they call a driver and front seat passenger will enjoy pillar to pillar views of a free-form display with active privacy to help mitigate driver distraction. So we talk about infotainment screens getting bigger. They used to be 6 inch, then they're 7 inch.
right.
Then they went vertical to 12 inch. Now
Yep.
it's just going to be a whole screen, the whole width of the
Cross the
vehicle,
dash. Yep.
and they will use the equivalent of those privacy screens. Remember, people used to snap them on airplanes, so if you're doing business work, someone next to you couldn't say, "Hey, what are you working on?" They will use that type of technology that you won't be able to see. Like, let's say you're in the passenger seat and I'm driving, I won't be able to see a movie you're watching, so it keeps it all legal.
That's pretty, well, that was designed by lawyers, by the way, not by the engineers who designed the car. But it is a good safety device, and it's everybody, we're all trying to prevent distraction. It's tough to do.
The other thing that's interesting here, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this across all manufacturing, is GM's additive industrialization center, and that basically means 3D printing.
Yeah.
They will make 3D printing components for this vehicle and others in the automotive industry. Already, the Cadillac CT4V and CT5V benefited from this. They made small items, some small items, some big items, shifter emblems, HVAC ducts, and transmission components. The last one being a very important thing to have as
Yeah,
far as
rather.
quality. Yeah, 3D printing. Think about that. You could, if you can get the speed up there, you can just print the parts you need right at the factory at some point in the
Well,
future.
yeah, I just always wonder about how robust like the metal parts would be, but
Well, the
I'm sure they,
Navy's talking about that they'll be able to build tools, specialty tools,
yeah,
and print them on the ship. And instead of storing them when they're done, they just recycle the material so they don't have to store the tools. That's kind of interesting.
that's pretty cool. And by the way, each of these Celestiques are built by a team of people, like the old British sport. Actually, the Borgans are still built that way,
Are they
where
are they bespoke? I just
they're.
wanted to say that to annoy
I
you.
knew you'd get me with that.
Well, that's a
Okay.
that's a little bit about the Cadillac Celestiq, where it's going to be built, and a couple of features. But when we come back, we're going to tell you about a Jeep that did very well, that you can buy right now. It did very well on all the crash tests. So we'll tell you about that when we come back, and new models from Hyundai and Kia.
Hmm.
We'll be right back. And welcome back to Cruise Control. We're going to talk a little bit about a Jeep that scored very well on the safety picks. And it's called the Jeep Compass. And
Yep.
this is what we like to do this on Cruise Control to help you out if you're looking at buying a vehicle, maybe give you a little direction. Jeep Compass earned the top safety pick rating from IIHS. It's the highest possible rating of each of the 6 IIHS, Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, that's what that stands for, crashworthiness tests. And its standard equipment is automatic emergency braking, graded superior, advanced rating for pedestrian detection technology and more than 75 available safety and security features, which is the most in the class.
You know, it's interesting about the Compass. It's been around. That name's been around for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's the model has been sort of languishing in the, oh yeah, they also make that
Yeah, I
category.
understand.
But finally, it's coming on really strong. Their sales are way up. People are noticing them. It's
22% they're up.
yeah, it's quite a bit for the money.
Looks like a mini Grand Cherokee, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's just it's turning into a super popular model. So good for them.
And of course, one of the key things to scoring well on that IIHS top safety pick rating is the headlights. And this rating applies to models
Yeah,
equipped with the LED projector or LED reflector headlamps when paired with high beam assist. If you've never driven a vehicle with high beam assist, you want to, especially if you drive on country roads, because it is really welcomed. You don't have to keep flicking that, and you won't blind anyone that's
yeah.
coming in the other
It's
lane. It's
it's
great.
really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish every vehicle in the world always had it.
There you go. So that's a good.
Remember, you flash your lights at somebody who's blinding you coming the other way.
I think certain drivers don't even know how to turn high
No,
beams on and off, or if they are on, or what that blue light means on the dashboard or anything.
that's right.
So anyway, that's a good vehicle to think about. And then we've got a couple of more, including you have a story on the Hyundai Palisade pricing. One of their very popular
Yeah.
models, their full-size, super full-size vehicle. And as far as these large SUVs go, it's actually the pricing is not all that bad, is it?
Not until you get up into the higher models. It at the start, and they do have a few, as they say, fresh exterior and interior
Yes,
treatments, 12-inch navigation screen.
gotta have it.
Um, but any case, the base SE model, which has a lot, is only 34,950, which for that kind of a vehicle is pretty reasonable.
3.8 liter V6, 8-speed
Yep.
automatic, and that's front wheel drive only.
Right, right. And as you go up, the SEL, the XRT, even the limited is 46.5, and then there's the calligraphy. Now, why do you
Calligraphy.
suppose they named that the calligraphy?
They do that. I found it to be a strange name for that sort
That
of
means
calligraphy, like
that
you're
means
writing
very
out an
pretty
invite to a
writing.
wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I call it, I guess. I don't know
And
whether.
and as one who in elementary school was always graded on my report card as having very sloppy writing, I take umbrage at this.
Uncle Sloppy, isn't that what?
Yeah, yes, guilty as charged.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that they all do follow this kind of book. That now it seems like many manufacturers are coming out with white crossovers with black wheels. I've had
Right.
two of them. I had the GMC AT4 and the right now the Mitsubishi Outlander. They both have that look, and this XRT model floats in at $40,250 for the front wheel drive and $42,150 for the all wheel drive, and it includes all of the equipment in the SEL, which is the second level up. But it also adds 20-inch dark wheels with rugged styling, rugged lower bumpers and skid
Rugged.
plate accents, rugged lower door garnish. Whoever thought you would say that as a sentence?
Uh, by the way, I have a theory on why we're seeing so many white vehicles.
Why is that?
Because this is my theory. I have no inside knowledge, but because all of these new vehicles have such big grills,
Yes.
the face of the car is so overwhelming. The white shows it better than any other color, and
Accentuates it.
they want that identity to be noticeable.
I think you might be right. And it's interesting because not only is the body white on this XRT model, but it does have a rugged dark grille finish. Did I mention it's rugged?
Um, what do you think? Maybe it's rugged.
This is the trend. This is a little bit different trend, but we saw the trend with like Subaru Wilderness, and there's the
Yep.
Timberline for Ford, and it's endless. The X line for Kia, endless manufacturers toughening up the looks of their SUVs and CUVs.
Yeah.
This is kind of a subset of that with this model, the XRT, the rugged. It's funny, the release says rugged like 15 times. It says
Yeah, it
new
does.
rugged Palisade, rugged lower bumpers, rugged lower garnish. There's probably another rugged in there. It does look good. I mean, I like how it looks. It looks sporty.
Well, yeah. I mean, it looks quite large.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not a small vehicle, but it's not huge. It's not an Escalade.
No. But
Uh,
there
Big
you
though.
have it. It's rugged. Rugged. Let's move
And
over. What were
that's
you going to
right.
say?
Well, and so is the added dealer markup when you go get ready to buy
Yeah,
one.
yeah, that will be rugged as well.
That's
let's
extremely rugged.
let, let's talk about something from Kia, a little more affordable. Everyone always says, "Well, I love the Soul. Why didn't they make it all-wheel drive?" And I always ask that too because it's a great value. But really, if you want to buy an all-wheel drive Kia, and you want to get into an all-wheel drive Kia, the Seltos is really what you're looking at.
Yep.
And the pricing is not all that bad at all. Listen to this: the S front-wheel drive starts at $22,890. Who ever heard of that? Buying a vehicle for that price?
That's a bargain. I mean, it really is.
The LX all-wheel drive. Listen to this: the LX all-wheel drive is actually less than
It's $50 less. I don't understand that.
yeah. There's an S all-wheel drive at $24,390. The Nightfall edition, also a trend to have an all blacked out. We used to call that murdered, the look, when you had all the
Murdered.
trim blacked out, dark windows, dark wheels. Now they call it Nightfall edition all-wheel drive. That is $27,040. EX all-wheel drive $26,140. SX all-wheel drive $28,340. Even if you throw the book at this thing, you're well under $30,000. Probably even with the destination. I'm not sure what the destination is on this, but you can be assured
I'm gonna guess $1,000.
$1,000. Yeah. The LX, S, and EX get a 2-liter Atkinson 4-cylinder with 404. I was going to say 446 horsepower. That would be astounding, wouldn't it? 146 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. If you want more, you can get the 1.6 turbo, 175 and 195 on the torque. That comes in the Nightfall edition and SX model. Fuel economy, not all that bad, really. Front-wheel drive, it is, 29 city, 35 highway, not bad. And still not bad on all-wheel drive, 27 city, 31 highway, 29 combined. These things are well equipped because they're Kias. Even the base model is probably well equipped. So interesting vehicle, the Seltos. I think it's one for you to put on your consideration list if you're talking about small all-wheel drive.
Yeah, if you're looking
CUV.
for a nice little CUV,
Yeah,
makes sense.
makes sense. Might be the way to go. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about the states where it is the most expensive and least expensive to drive a car. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred and I are going to go over something near and dear to everyone's heart, which is the cost of insuring and owning a car.
Yes.
And we have a listing of the most and least expensive states for that sort of thing. And if you're in one of the most expensive states, well, we're sorry.
Nothing we can do about it, though.
I can't help you.
Yeah.
But we can let you know.
Yeah, we can let you know. And I think it's good information. People like to factor all this stuff in. This comes from a research firm called Deal A. And there's a difference in car insurance of $1,000 between the most and least expensive states. That's a pretty big discount.
It's not really a huge difference.
But, it's pretty big. I'll say this, Les. Do you want the bad news or the good news?
Let's do the bad first.
Okay, so 10 most
so
expensive.
People forget about it quickly.
Okay. No. All right. So they kind of go through this in this list, the total average repair cost, the average car insurance cost, the 50-point safety inspection and oil change cost, total maintenance cost, and then they give you a total number. So number 10 of the most expensive is Colorado, coming in at $3,286.
Okay. This is not including the cost of actually buying and paying for the car.
Or gas.
Yeah, or gas. This is just what it costs to own it as it sits in the driveway.
Insure it, inspect it.
Yep.
I guess they have registration costs in here too, because they vary pretty highly.
They could vary a lot. Anyway,
I might be wrong too. I think you pay tax every year on your car in Connecticut, but I might be wrong about that.
You do in Connecticut, and you do here in Virginia.
And what do they base it on? The value of the car, or
it's based on the average Blue Book value, or what they call actually it's kind of the trade-in value.
Has that gone up since prices of used cars have gone up?
Yeah, it has, but it's a function of age.
Of age of the vehicle.
Yeah, once your car is 20 years old, you owe essentially nothing.
So it pays to buy an old car.
but that said, when I bought my Corvette, walked it through the assembly line in 1971 and bought it. It was $5,500 once I settled on the price.
I'll give you $6,000.
Over the course of 33 years,
right.
I paid for that car again.
Oh boy.
In property tax.
Wow.
But they got rid of it toward the end of those years. There was no. They finally put an age limit where it became worth on paper $100.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
number 9, New York, $3,306, most expensive. Number 8, New Jersey. We're all in my neighborhood here, New York, New Jersey.
No surprise.
$3,312. Rhode Island, expensive state to live in, Rhode Island.
I've heard that.
And it's number 7 on the most expensive list for driving a car. Florida, number 6.
That's surprising because it's so cheap there in so many other ways.
And other taxes. California, number 5. That is $3,456 a year. Kentucky, $3,613. Surprise number 3, Nevada, $3,705. Louisiana, $3,849. And the most expensive state, Les Jackson, do you know what it might be?
It, strangely enough, is the home of the auto industry.
Yeah, Michigan. Coming in at a rugged,
yes,
to use that term again, a rugged $4,600. $164.30. So that's the bad news. What are the cheapest?
Well,
1 to 10, 1 being the
number
cheapest.
10 cheapest is North Carolina at 2701.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, Vermont. That's surprising.
Yep.
2581.
Yep.
Iowa, 2566. Wisconsin, kind of same area of the country, 2513. Idaho, a little further west, 2494.
This is just because there's less people out there. It's more
I think
more
so.
open space.
I think so. Just, more density, more crashes.
Right. That makes sense.
Indiana, 2475. Now that's close to Chicago. So
yep. Ohio,
anyway.
2438.
Yep.
Virginia,
right here, where everyone complains about the cost. We're the third cheapest, 2432.
New Hampshire, 23,330. And
Maine. I guess I'm not surprised at that. That's the cheapest at 2253. Now that's half of what it costs in Michigan.
It's bizarre too. AARP and other groups say don't retire to Maine because it's very expensive for taxes. But I guess they shift the blame over to car, or they're less expensive cars, but they tax you in other ways, right?
You have to weigh everything. You can't just look at home price or
move to a state for cheap insurance.
Yeah.
I know this. If you ever go to a race and you look at the transporters, they're all registered in the cheapest states.
Yes. Just like ships.
Yeah,
they're registered
ships.
In the country, Liberia, the countries that have the least regulation.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Hey, you want to do a talk and tech?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Well, pop-up headlights. Remember, last version of the Corvette to have them was the C5.
Yep.
Taz Juchter, the chief engineer, told us they're not coming back on the Corvette.
All of the engineers at the car companies hate pop-up headlights.
They're a point of failure for sure.
They're a terrible point of failure. They're just a nuisance to design. This is true of the British, anywhere. So they're not unhappy to see them go away.
Also, if you get crashed in the front, they're expensive to repair too.
Very expensive.
Yeah. Well, pop-up headlights sort of could be making a comeback. This comes from our friends at Car Buzz. They found that Audi filed a German patent and team trademark office filing last year. And the idea is these are called changeable headlight covers. And I remember reading about this a long time ago in The Future of Cars. It was an article, Future of Cars, where the body would be the light. And when the light comes on, the light would glow through the body. When it's not on, you wouldn't see it. It would just look like body color, like more of the fender or whatever. And this is kind of the technology they're talking about, where once again, sort of like that roof panel we talked about earlier, when the light's not lit, it looks just like the body color or maybe a piece of trim or whatever. You don't see the headlights. When you turn it on, it actually lights up. And that's kind of the modern day version of pop-up headlights, disappearing headlights,
Yeah, disappearing headlights or point of need headlights.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, I think I would have to see it in action. The first thing I think of is, like every headlight, they get dirty, they get cloudy.
Yeah.
And they lose an awful lot of their usefulness. So
sure.
My question is, how would this work, and would it work? Would it be more maintenance to keep it nice or less?
Hard to say. It might be less because the lens is covered by, it's more protected from UV light. It's kind of a styling thing, It's not. And the other thing you got to watch is it can't affect the light output in any way because, let's face it, headlights are a big thing when it comes to getting that all-important IIHS safety rating.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess
And
that up to look cool.
and that's the big problem. You've got to
Remember,
design something.
remember that during the 80s, people put smoked covers over their headlights and
Yep,
taillights? I was like,
that's right.
why? That's not a good idea. I want taillights so they can
Not
see
at
it
all.
as soon as possible, not when they're like 2 feet away from my rear bumper and about to smash into it.
There are some very strange personalization things that
Peel and
people put on
stick.
their cars.
Yeah, peel and stick personalization. Hey, we're going to
Yep.
get into a vehicle next, an at-the-wheel review of the Subaru BRZ. It's a real good-looking, well, not two-seater. It should be a two-seater, I guess, but we'll tell you about it when we come back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We're going to have an at-the-wheel review of a very cool vehicle, the Subaru BRZ. It is a sporty car that's marketed as the BRZ from the folks at Subaru. Has a boxer engine. It is the only Subaru that does not have all-wheel drive. This is a rear-drive vehicle. And if you want a little bit different styling, you can order it from Toyota, and they call it the 86. Now, this is
Bad name.
this is a 4-seat car, a 2+2, but the rear seat has literally no legroom whatsoever. I'm 5'8", and I got in the back, and I I have to say I couldn't get out of there fast enough. It was
Yeah.
handy for holding our cooler to keep food cool and a hat.
The reason for 2+2s,
Mhm.
and this has been true since the 60s when Jaguar did it with the XKEs, and cars over the years have done 2+2s, which are basically unsittable in the back seat.
Right.
The reason was insurance.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
much cheaper. Otherwise, they're insured as high performance sports cars.
And this would be great if you had a small dog, a hat,
Yeah.
or some small cardboard box. It would fit in there.
Or a sandwich and a banana.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is a great car, though, Les. It is, I think, the ideal car for like autocrossing, or you know how people like
Yep.
to race cars that are not that high horsepower. They're just looking for something that handles well. A lot of people use Miatas for this. I might alienate half of the automotive journalist world. I've never been a super fan of the Miata. I would rather have something like this, the BRZ.
I would too. I like the closed coupe. It's stiffer. It's quite a bit less expensive. I agree with you. I think if you're, a relatively young owner and you just want something cool looking and fun to drive and reliable,
Yeah.
and inexpensive, I just think this is a great choice.
Look at the styling. It's got the double bubble roof, very racing styling. It has this current model, the 2022, has a lower center of gravity. They've lowered it down. It's got that nice kind of integrated rear spoiler. It even has a trunk that you can haul stuff in, and very sporty looking from the front. It's not a high horsepower engine. This is a 2.4 liter direct injection, double overhead cam engine. And what's kind of interesting about it is when you look under the hood, it actually says Toyota and Subaru on the what would be the engine cover. They don't really have an engine cover on this. The horsepower is in the low 200s, which was more than adequate for this vehicle. It was fun to drive. Ours had a 6-speed manual. Remember those?
Yes, indeed. I have one of those. And actually, it looks like a cross between a Porsche and a 240Z.
I got a lot of comments that people said, wow, that's an expensive car. Oh, my gosh. And I thought, well, not really. We'll tell you what it is. Actually, the horsepower is 228 from the Subaru Boxer engine.
That's plenty.
It's plenty. No rear seat room, just a couple of butt pockets in the back. But it's fine for storage, but you just would not want to sit back there. I like the interior of the vehicle. Very straight ahead Subaru, push buttons, knobs, switches for everything. Easy to use, easy to see. None of this, touchscreen haptic stuff that we've seen in other vehicles, like the VW GTI. Even the radio's got a volume knob. There's the touchscreen there. You can get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and just easy to use. Volume knob. Some of the components were a little low budget, but that's okay. You can see there's some great stitching on the shifter boot and some red trim and stitching on the seats, which were sort of an Alcantara type stuff in there in the car. And some of the Alcantara upholstery goes on to the doors itself as well. The seats are heated. I liked how they treated the pedals. They did a really nice treatment on
Very
pedals.
sporty.
And interesting, it is the D45 Boxer engine, Toyota and Subaru, right on the top of it. So nice little engine. I'm sure you could get some go fast goodies for this too, if you wanted to. Ours was the BRZ Limited, which brings in 18-inch aluminum alloy wheels with matte gray finish, 215/40 summer performance tires, blind spot protection. They call it Bryn Naub upholstered combination. I guess that's just a brand name. Dual mode heated front seats, steering responsive headlights, which is always nice. One thing you can't get with the manual is the EyeSight system. The EyeSight is Subaru's version of emergency braking that, as of this review, you cannot get that with a manual transmission. You can get an automatic transmission with this as well. Did not drive that, just drove the manual. Manual shifted wonderfully. Good clutch feel, good clutch take-up. Shifter was great. So, you have your option. But once again, a great car if you want to go autocrossing or something like that, or you want a sporty car that is not super expensive. And you're probably going to ask, how much did it cost, Fred?
How much did it cost?
Funny you should ask, Les, because the BRZ Limited is $30,495 with a destination charge of $960, brings it all in at $31,455. If you recall, we were wondering, would we see a version of this vehicle? Would they continue it? And they have. I don't know what the sales numbers for this are, but I don't think it's one of their biggest sellers. But it is a great vehicle. It also has a limited slip diff, Torsen limited slip diff, which is great vehicle dynamic control, sport tuned suspension. It's a nice little vehicle. It really is. It is a sporty vehicle. It's a fun vehicle. If you're looking for that type of vehicle, it's one to look for. I liked everything about it. I liked how it drove. It looked more expensive, especially in that silver, ice silver metallic, than it was. I don't know what the automatic drive's like. That might be a little easier in traffic. It might actually be better for autocrossing the auto. Don't you
It
think?
might be. Well, the fact is, I would doubt more than 3 or 4% of the buyers get manual.
Yeah. So I give it a great rating, and they've just made it better with this generation. They've, as I said, lowered the center of gravity, dropped the vehicle a little bit. This is only the second generation, so I don't know. I kind of like the Subaru styling a little bit better than the Toyota styling. That's just point
I
of
do
preference.
too. Also, I have to give them credit for just doing this, for putting out what essentially is a limited market sports car
Yes.
for, in a world of over 70% of SUVs.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely like to autocross one though. Probably the automatic. That's what I would say. But that's your BRZ, your at the wheel review of the 2022 Subaru BRZ Limited model. Good looking vehicle. I like the dark wheels with the ice silver, and it's a fun vehicle. And by the way, I've read that they are working on a way to get the eyesight system with manual transmissions. They have a few in their lineup yet. I believe you can still get a Crosstrek. I believe you can with a manual.
With a manual.
Yeah, and they want that to come with eyesight. So I would venture a guess that they would be adding eyesight to manual transmission vehicles in the future. So, all right, there you have it. Well, we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control Radio. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.